2 weeks ago, our family was enriched with the arrival of a daughter. My husband, Rick, is a 30-year-old, and I am 29 years old. This is going to be our first child, and we are overjoyed. We are still adjusting to life as parents, but things have been hectic here. We're both attempting our best to adapt to this new situation. Due to events surrounding the birth of our daughter, May, we are unable to receive much assistance. I don't think I will ever be able to get over that. It was quite terrible. The numbing terror I felt that day will not go away, no matter how happy May is to be here. Absent my husband's prompt assistance, I believe my life would have been taken. Even though it was a terrible tragedy, I think we should be kinder to May and her family because she is the firstborn. But I'm not sure, in between the hormones and taking care of the baby, my judgment is all over the place, so I figured I'd ask Reddit for advice. Be patient with me because this narrative contains a lot of characters and could be long. 2 of Rick's sisters are named Anna and Emma. Anna, who's 28, and Emma, who is 24, are both younger than him. I get along great with both of them, and I really doubt that we're bitter rivals. Due to our hectic work schedules, we don't get together very often. Thus, we don't consider ourselves extremely close. Even though Emma and Adam share a city, we still manage to keep in touch through text and phone conversations and attempt to meet up every so often. My mother-in-law, a 53-year-old woman, is another significant character in Rick's family and the plot. Although my relationship with Anna and Emma is strained, Rachel is an entirely different matter. We disagree on a lot of things, and I really believe she has an issue with everyone, not just me. She's an incredibly controlling person who refuses to let go. Everything should be arranged in accordance with her capricious desires. Due to her role as their primary caregiver following their father's abandonment, her 3 children generally adhere to her demands. Consequently, they endeavor to simplify everything for both her and themselves. She also gets angry if somebody attempts to desire something other than her. A full-blown tantrum accompanied by tears and disgust is possible as a reply. Dealing with her becomes challenging, so I do my best to avoid her. What Rick doesn't get is this. He gives me space to handle his mother however I see fit because he knows she's a pain. Despite her domineering personality, I can relate to his feelings for her, so I choose to ignore it. Since she dislikes me, she stays out of my life, which is good for everyone. But she is solely to blame for how things spiraled out of control just a few days ago. I don't think anybody will ever be able to forgive her now. Anna was engaged to be married on May's birth date. She married Jonah, a friend of Rick's, 30, and the ceremony was beautiful. He asked her to be his wife about a year ago, and I said yes when Anna asked me to be her bridesmaid. I had to ask her to ask someone else when Rick and I found out I was pregnant because I knew I couldn't handle it. Nearly 6 months had passed since the proposal, leaving just 6 months till the big day. Then I was 3 months along in my pregnancy. I was prepared for her to be angry with me if I backed out in the middle, but I had to put her needs first. I was on edge before telling her because I thought it would permanently damage our relationship. Surprisingly, and much to my relief, none of it materialized. Upon hearing the news, Anna was ecstatic. Once I informed her that I wouldn't be able to attend to her responsibilities, she briefly lost interest in her wedding. She just said, "Of course, I'll be looking after you." She was so worried that I would miss the wedding, which I would have if May had been born at that time, that she contemplated moving it. That never materialized for several reasons, and to be honest, she was foolish to do it. It came down to the wire, but she was there for me the whole way. Even though I was terrified throughout my pregnancy, I didn't trouble the 2 sisters much because Emma was named Maid of Honor, and because they were busy getting ready for the wedding. Regardless, they were always in touch and came over frequently to cheer me on. Even though Anna was there for me the entire time, I still feel bad that I didn't stand by her side on her biggest day. My mother-in-law was the only one who seemed slightly irritated by the entire situation. There was a hiccup in the wedding plans because she was irate that I couldn't continue serving as maid of honor. I could see her point of view. That did seem like the most reasonable answer. Despite Anna's approval of the pregnancy and my decision not to serve as maid of honor, the animosity persisted. Rachel began to irritate me after that, even though the bride wasn't irate at all. Weird as it seemed, I figured maybe our nerves were related. Hers from the wedding, mine from the hormones. What was really happening was that I was fabricating stories in my mind. Things were generally all right when I ignored her to the best of my ability. On both a real and metaphorical level, the wedding was a complete disaster. 2 weeks ago, I was incredibly pregnant. I felt like I was going to pass out from the swelling in my feet and belly. Still, I felt obligated to go to the wedding since Anna had asked me to. I wanted it to be her special day, so I'd asked her in advance whether she wanted me to be there. I warned her that I didn't want anyone to notice her because of the pregnant woman's size and weight. It is the wedding day of the happy couple, and I would hate to ruin it for them. Anger and hurtful feelings ran through Anna as I broke the news to her. She was shocked that I would let myself be distracted by meaningless thoughts and skip her wedding, she added. She expressed her desire for nothing more than to have her loved ones by her side on her wedding day, and she denied any interest in the spotlight. There would be no drama, she said. I had to come. Immediately, I could tell that she was being serious. She says exactly what's on her mind. Without being coy, she would have told me I wasn't welcome. However, she did, and she made her point very clear. Being by her side felt like my responsibility. Therefore, I knew I had to be present for her wedding day, despite the fact that I felt extremely uneasy. Truthfully, I noticed a lot of people muttering, but I tried not to pay attention to them since I wanted Anna to be glad that I was there. There was no other consideration for me in that instant. Rachel stared at me the whole time and barely spoke to me, but I was too embarrassed to pay attention. Because I was too exhausted to argue with her or try to understand her hostile demeanor, I decided to just ignore her. No matter how hard she glared, I would not respond. Next came the major event that surprised and terrified everyone around me, including myself. Just as the ceremony was about to commence, I began to feel apprehensive. Earlier, I had crossed paths with Anna. I got up and headed upstairs, figuring that would make me feel better. I would come back later. Rachel had followed me the whole time, and I had no idea. As I made my way to the restroom to relieve my unusual and sweating symptoms, my water broke. My daughter had picked the worst possible time to come, and despite my love for her, I began to panic when I saw that it was actually flooding. I was so confused that I was lucky to see my mother-in-law standing there. I had stooped down in agony at that time. I ordered her to grab my phone and call Rick right away because we had to go to the hospital, and she hurried over to me. After she assisted me to my feet, she dragged me into the restroom, where I handed her my phone. When that happened, she lost it. So that I wouldn't steal the show from Anna, she promised that Rick would be there an hour after the ceremony ended. I told her I couldn't manage this for an hour and then asked if she was insane. She locked me inside and proceeded to steal my phone even though I attempted to seize it from her. Thus I found myself sitting on a toilet in a bathroom, unmarried and pregnant with my child on the verge of being born. Thank goodness I didn't go into a full-blown panic attack. Otherwise, I would have no idea what to do. I rose from my seat and hammered on the door as I slowly approached it. Everyone had already taken their seats for the wedding by the time I started screaming, and the first-floor restrooms were out of earshot. No one arrived, no matter how loud I screamed. At that moment, I thought I was going to pass away along with my unborn child. There was no more sound coming out of me. I was wet, weary, and sweating profusely. Until then, that was all I could recall. After my tiredness caused me to pass out, I have no idea what happened next. To this day, I still can't put my finger on how I made it to the emergency room. A few hours after that, I awoke in the hospital, where Rick was standing by my side while I sobbed. I needed a few seconds to gather my bearings and understand what was going on. I was afraid the worst when I saw Rick sobbing. My in-law's mother-in-law locked me in the bathroom. I sobbed uncontrollably, and I worried that May wouldn't survive. Rick let out a relief sigh and began sobbing in my arms as soon as he realized I was awake. I felt sick to my stomach and had no idea what it meant. My anxiety subsided as I welcomed the arrival of a newborn girl and saw the nurse carrying her in. After Rick assured me he wasn't playing a practical joke on me, I wanted to smack him for being so disrespectful. All he felt was relief. I was fine. He discovered me unconscious in the restroom. I don't think I will ever forget the sensation of holding my newborn daughter for the first time. As far as I'm concerned, there is no higher form of emotion than that. What I felt at those times will never be surpassed, I'm afraid. I appreciate that Rick withheld facts at that point, since I was too exhausted to deal with them. I inquired as to the cause of the noise because I could just barely make out sounds of activity outside. Based on his description, my mother-in-law was outside and expressed an interest in visiting her grandchild. In great detail, I recounted the events to him. I informed him of her actions and how she had recklessly put our daughter in danger. In addition, I informed him that I would not tolerate her being anywhere near my daughter. She had died in my eyes. He claimed to have known everything when he found me in that condition. She sobbed and spilled the beans to him. I told him I wouldn't forgive her simply because she sobbed. With a chuckle, he said that his mother was no longer alive in his eyes. For endangering someone's life, he intended to file charges. He threatened to punish her for her actions by following the law. A burden was removed from my shoulders the moment I heard him say it. Like all three of them, I know he loves his mom. I was in no state to forgive her following the dangerous stunt she pulled that nearly killed my daughter and me. Our marriage would have ended if Rick had picked her instead of me. After then, there'd be no turning back. I secretly hoped he'd pick his mom, because she'd done so much to raise kids despite everything. I am completely satisfied, even if I didn't anticipate him to defend me to such an extent. I don't know what to say other than that it has just deepened my love for him. He assured me everything was well with the wedding when I asked him about it. Emma and Anna were patiently anticipating his call so they could pay us a visit. When I inquired as to whether Anna was angry, he chuckled and assured me that Anna was completely fine. Her elation at May's birth has been contagious, and she hasn't stopped gushing about how her whole family was there for the wedding. I begged him to contact them right away because I was crying when he told me that. I hardly had to wait a few minutes before Jonah, Emma, and Anna joined me at the hospital. Anna and Jonah were still wearing their wedding attire, which was the most delightful aspect. According to Anna, she simply could not refuse the opportunity to capture a wedding photo with her niece. It was such a touching moment that I began to cry uncontrollably. I told Anna I was sorry for making her day after we took the picture. She embraced me and told me I was seeing things incorrectly. I had brightened her day. After I informed her about my mother-in-law's actions following the pregnancy announcement, Anna told me that my only mistake was not informing them sooner. They might have been able to end her drama if they had tried. Emma interrupted me when I expressed my desire to avoid difficulty by expressing that she would be okay with any level of disruption so long as I remained safe. It was then that I realized they loved me like family. Writing this brings tears to my eyes. They treated me like family, not merely Rick's wife. Because she is confident and content, Anna is among the greatest ladies I know. She must be really happy with her current situation. How Rachel differs from her children is something I just don't understand. They must have seen her and decided that was not their calling. It's strange, but it doesn't bother me because it was stunning. Anna had warned my mother-in-law on her way and that she would see to it that Rick and I made our charges, and it seemed that she was still outside. I didn't want my mother-in-law to meet May, but she insisted on coming in nevertheless. Anna warned us that we must protect ourselves against her. Feeling that she hadn't adequately addressed her mother's overprotective impulses or conveyed her disapproval of my pregnancy, Anna apologized to me. She speculated that the incident might not have happened if she had. She had put me at ease, I assured her, and she could not have been at fault. My mother-in-law and Rick were outside chatting the whole time. Rick filled me in on the details of his conversation with my mother-in-law when I returned home with May a couple of days after my discharge. He assured her that he had already told her that he would be filing charges, so there was no need to worry about changing his mind. She was never to have any kind of role in May's life, he added, and she was certainly not her grandma. She decided to endanger not just me but also my unborn child because of some perceived offense that she clearly didn't care about. The sums he had been doling out to her mother-in-law were allegedly funded by Rick and Emma, he added. When she realized that would be drastically cut, her tears began to flow. She felt unworthy because she had worked tirelessly for the children her whole life. Although Rick was aware of and grateful for her many selfless acts, he assured her that she did not have authority over their lives. He claimed he had been covering up or ignoring her wrongdoings for years, but that was over. May needed to realize that she had crossed a significant barrier and demonstrated she was not someone she could be around safely, particularly because Anna never had any issues. Rachel added that, in her role as a mother, she could empathize with Anna's desire that I not be the center of attention. We will definitely move forward with the case because Anna overheard and attacked her. I am too busy taking care of a newborn to be caught up in this drama, so Rick will deal with it. Rick assured her that he would take care of it, but now none of her siblings will even speak to her. Anna has severed all communication with her, and Emma only speaks to her when absolutely necessary. Unsurprisingly, Rick and I have not been in touch. My mother-in-law probably just wanted to keep Anna safe. She certainly didn't see this coming. No matter how twisted that may sound, I am in no way justifying her. Because of how disastrously things turned out, I still feel terrible for her. The fact that it makes me feel awful and wrong makes me question if they should try to work it out with her. Perhaps my thoughts are jumbled. I just do not know. Rick will go completely insane if I tell him about this. Right now, he can't even look at her since he is so angry with her. Here we are, and I can expect it. Current state, reconciliation, it seems, is out of the question for all time. I apologize for the long gap between updates. Nevertheless, I am a new mother and have been occupied with the necessities of life, both for myself and my child. The bright side is that May will be 8 weeks old in a few days, and everyone is incredibly thrilled about it. Sweet and helpful, Anna and Jonah have been a huge help to Rick and me. Despite calling nearly daily, Emma had to return to work. The group chat is a veritable photo album of May, who is the center of attention everywhere you look. My mother-in-law and I have not communicated in any way. We already have a lot going on, and pressing charges would be pointless, so I talked Rick out of it. Rick was hesitant at first, but eventually accepted since we're too tired to do anything else. Last week we informed my mother-in-law, and she seemed appreciative. It was last week when she revealed her true colors to everyone, and I say that because that woman is truly insane. A pounding on the door roused Rick and me last week at approximately 1 a.m. As Rick proceeded to unlock the door, May and I ducked for cover, terrified that someone was trying to rob us. The sound of yelling kept me from venturing out of the house for fear that May would awaken. My mother-in-law was the one who was acting irrationally, according to Rick. We were unable to stop her from yelling that she wanted to see May. She was trying to barge in, so Rick stated he had to call the cops on her before she retreated. Because everyone had to know if something was wrong with her, we promptly informed Anna and Emma. We were worried, but in all honesty, it served no purpose. She sent us something disturbing the following day. She began by claiming that our decision to deny her visitation with May was an act of cruel punishment for the simple fact that she was a mother, and that we were being cruel and horrible to her. She started off with some theatrical gibberish and got more and more out of control with her writing. Raising 3 children, she said, was a constant struggle as she had to put each child's needs before her own. On May's birthday, she felt obligated to do it since she didn't want May to ruin Anna's celebration. She casually disregarded the fact that May was a fetus and that Anna had previously stated that she was fine with the wedding and pregnancy taking place simultaneously. This aspect was still clear to me. The following statement she made really unsettled me. She expressed concern that her children would no longer see Mom as an essential figure in our lives because of May. She assumed that, like any reasonable woman would, Anna would be angry when I told her I was pregnant. She took exception to the fact that we were all overjoyed about the impending nuptials and the pregnancy. She basically meant that she didn't enjoy how happy we were being together and how much we cared for each other. Jealousy and competition were her desired emotions. She expressed her desire that Anna would be furious with us when she saw that the due date would be close to the wedding. Perhaps if May hadn't been the center of attention, but alas, it was not the case. May became the center of attention. She expressed her displeasure that an unborn child had assumed her role as the family glue. I requested Rick to ban her because she was still typing and saying more stuff. I warned him that she posed a threat to May and everyone else and she was insane. Ever since I saw those texts, I have been plagued with a persistent headache. That a woman of 50 is competing with a baby of 7 weeks of age is unbelievable to me. I am over with her, therefore it doesn't have to make sense to me. I had enough of attempting to decipher her intentions and finding justifications for her actions. It doesn't matter to me if she goes to hell. Anna and Emma have also been notified and are distressed by the texts. My mother-in-law is being evaluated at a facility because they are concerned that she may be experiencing a manic episode. Emma has offered to travel down to get her checked. Although I believe it's a fine idea, I will not be participating. I refuse to have any more contact with her because of her insane behavior. Revision 2. My mother-in-law is the subject of a restraining order. We are exercising caution, but she refrained from making any further attempts. After consulting with a psychiatrist and psychologist, Emma decided to get some tests done. No worries here with my mother-in-law. A diagnosis of GAD was all that was needed. Emma was advised to enroll her in treatment after the doctor determined that her behavior did not stem from any underlying medical conditions. Emma stopped communicating after that. My mother-in-law is so cruel that she can no longer be tolerated, even though she stated she would be happy to lend a hand if things went wrong. I completely understand and agree with that. I would have been there for her in a few months if I had thought she was suffering from a mental illness, but that's no longer being considered. Here we have her identity confirmed. Nothing can be done to make that right. My mother-in-law has already shown twice that she is not a safe person, so Rick and I decided to get a restraining order to protect May. Additionally, she harbors resentment towards May in particular, so we must exercise utmost caution to ensure that they do not come into touch. This is likely going to be my final update. I really hope I don't have anything else to say regarding this whole incident. For the family, this has been terrifying. I simply want to express my gratitude